So now that you have thought through what kind of labels you want to utilize in your Gmail for sorting your emails and finding them a little bit easier, now I'm going to show you how to filter them and automatically apply labels to those emails in your inbox when they come in so you don't have to manually do it every time. So I'm going to use this email as an example. So this is an email that I sent to myself, which I'm sure a lot of you do. And this is just an email of a tweet from Matt Miller about some different Canva templates that I might want to utilize. So I could go through and click label, create new, make a note to self label, and then click create from here, and then manually do this every time I email myself something, or I can have this filter. So in order to do that, I could click the three dots and go to filter messages like these. So I opened my email first, the email that I'm looking at, and then I go to filter messages like these. The advantage of doing it this way, instead of clicking on this little filter button at the end of the search bar on the top of email, you can also click on that to create a filter by looking for terms. But the advantage of doing it this way, if you click on the three dots when you actually open an email, and then go to filter messages like these, the advantage for this is it automatically fills in some information for me. So it automatically filled in the person sending the email. So in this case, I was emailing myself. So I'm the person that automatically filled it in. So I don't have to manually type it in. So that's the only advantage to it, but you could easily just press this button up in the search bar to create a filter instead of opening the email first. So here's the different search things I can put in to automatically create labels and do some other cool things. So I can say, who is this email coming from? So here I could add administrator email. Here I could add a group. So I could add Ellicott Elementary at opschools.org. So you can add a lot of those different things. If you want to add more than one, so if I was looking for more than one person emailing at the same time, I could do something like this. So Allie is the other tech coach, if you didn't know. So I could put her email in as well. So if it came from me or from her, then it would have the same label if I put it through that way. So if you want to add more than one email in here, you don't have to create like two filters in this case because there's two people. You could create one filter if you want to and just keep putting or in between each email address it applies to. So you just have to do this once. But let's keep this simple for the first time because I'm just doing note to self whenever I email myself. So you could also put something in the to box. So if you were sending an email to somebody or if it was to a certain group of people, you could put that email here. If there was something specific in the subject line, you could put something there. Maybe you always have students at the end of the quarter emailing about grades, and maybe you want to add the word grades in the subject line. So if a student put the word grades in a subject line, Gmail would recognize that and automatically categorize that. Next to the has the words, this is searching the body of the email. So if there's something specific in the body of an email that either a parent or a student or someone else is sending to you and you want to categorize that, you can do it that way too. Let's use Google Classroom as an example. So maybe there's something specific in a Google Classroom email that you would like to find and categorize because it's always in that email. So maybe you're getting a notification for a certain assignment type, maybe it's late. You could put the words late in here. And then from, and then there's that long Google Classroom email address that you could pull from one of your emails that you had before. Doesn't have, so if the email has maybe certain words but doesn't have other words, you could do that. And then you could sort by attachment size or even if it just has an attachment. So maybe you want every email that has an attachment to go into a certain label so you can keep track of it. So these are all the search terms you can use to narrow down what you're looking for. On the next step, you can create a filter that will automatically do some things for you. So again, all I did on this page was I put in my own email because I just want to sort emails that are coming from me so I can keep them in a folder to look at in the future. So I'm going to click Create Filter on the bottom. I could search here too, but I'm just going to click Create Filter because I actually want to do something with it. If I just wanted to find those emails, I could click the search button. But I'm going to click Create Filter. Now here's all the things I can do based on my search criteria. So I'm only searching my own email, emails from myself, and this is what I can do with it. I can choose to skip the inbox and archive the email. What that's going to do is it's not going to delete it, but it is not going to show up in my inbox. When I showed you in the last step labels, how they appear both in the label here on the left and in my inbox, if you only wanted to appear in the label and not in the inbox, you would check this box. If you always want it to be marked as read, so there's certain emails you get from the district maybe that are important, you don't want to delete, but they're not really important enough for them to take up a number slot here. It's something maybe you want to look at later on. Maybe there's like a job posting that you don't specifically look at all the time, but it would be nice to have in there in case you wanted to reference it, in case you know somebody that might want a job in the district. You can star emails. So it just adds an extra yellow star next to that email if it finds it. So it makes it stand out a little bit more. Here I want to apply the label note to self, like I was talking about before. So here I can choose a label, and I can see that note to self isn't in here, so you can create a new label right in here as well. So I'm going to name one note to self, click create, and now whenever I get an email from myself, it's going to skip the inbox, so it's not going to clutter up my inbox. It's going to get starred, and it's also going to apply the label note to self. I can also choose to never send emails to spam. So if your message keeps getting sent to spam for some reason, you could click that. Always mark as important. So there's a little extra flag that goes next to an email when you mark it as important. So you could do that if you want to. Never mark as important. So there's the opposite. You can categorize emails. These I don't really use because they don't work the greatest, I think. But you can experiment with those if you want to. And then the last button is really awesome. It says also apply filter to 6 matching conversations. So if you have a bunch of messages in your inbox and you want to go back in time, not just move forward, you can check this box because it's not just going to add those note to self labels moving forward. It's also going to look through your inbox and find previous ones that it could mark as note to self as well. So if I click on that box as well, it will match it to 6 matching conversations. And then when I'm all done and I check my settings, I can click Create Filter. So now what's going to happen is I have my inbox as normal, and I checked that all messages from me go to a note to self label. And remember, I'm going to change this color on this one to orange, and you just click on those 3 dots to do it. And you can see I have 1 unread message in that label. So that'll keep track of it for you. You can see I have 0 up here in my inbox because I chose to skip the inbox. So I'm going to go to note to self. And now you can see here's all those messages that I had that I forwarded to this account. You can see they're all starred, so they stand out. You can see they're all marked as important. And then you can also see that they have secondary labels to them. So this was that CTLE email I showed you in the last video. Here's EdTech News, and here's that administration one. So this happened automatically. And if I send a new email to myself right now, so now that number 1 changed to number 2. So I just sent myself an email. I called it right now. And you can see it automatically went to that note to self folder all by itself. And it had all these labels, important markers, everything added to it. And I didn't have to do anything. So I hope you figure out something that you want to do with labels. And like I said, all you have to do is either click on the email and click on the 3 dots to create a filter from there. Or you can click on the filter button next to the search bar put in your search terms of what you want to look for, create a filter, and then pick what you want to happen based on your search terms. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is what if you forget what filters you already set up and what they're doing. You can find all the filters you created by going up on the top right to the gear icon. And then you want to click on the button that says See All Settings. And then you can navigate over to where it says Filters and Blocked Addresses. And then your list of filters will be right here. So here is the one filter I just made. So it says anything coming from me will skip the inbox, get starred, apply the label Note to Self, and mark as important. So from here I can either edit or delete these as well. So this is where you're going to take your screenshot for the next assignment.